For those of you that like a video and love to hear the person talking, that's how I am. I am sharing my birth story via video as well. So, start from the beginning on the 7th of February, on the Monday, going and doing my weekly shopping as I always do, taking my mom and Avonlea with me because, yeah, being 40 weeks pregnant and going shopping is beyond hard work if you're slow, and picking up all the heavy stuff. But this time I'm definitely noticing I'm just feeling so much more slow and out of breath, and these little Braxton Hicks are kind of like, oh, there's one, and wow, there's another one, and now there's another one, and they're kind of regular, and they're feeling a little bit more intense than the usual Braxton Hicks, which is pressure only and definitely like no pain or discomfort at all, at least for me. And so I think we went like into the first store, we went into the second store. Once we were in the third store, I kind of share with my mom. I'm like, I think these are more than my Braxton Hicks. I've been having pretty regular contractions. And so she's like, oh, okay, wow. So I was pretty excited because this is exactly how I wanted it to happen. Just like doing daily life, and just my contractions start picking up, and that's exactly how it was. And so over the course of the afternoon, my contractions are picking up, they are becoming more intense, and then by evening they are probably every like 5 minutes apart or so. And I'm pretty excited because here we are, baby is coming tonight, and this is exactly how I wanted it. Patrick comes home from work and he starts blowing up the birth pool. We call the midwife, and she is farther away. So after talking for a little bit, she decides, okay, she's gonna come and stop by. And yeah, things don't really pick up from there. They become somewhat irregular. She's like, hey, it's getting late now. Just kind of try to get some sleep, because if you can sleep, then sleep for sure. And yeah, I could. And so she actually ended up leaving, and I slept through the night. Had contractions, yes, but definitely got some sleep, and definitely no baby. And so Tuesday comes around, Patrick heads back to work. I have contractions, pretty irregular, but somewhat steady throughout Tuesday, but definitely knowing that things are not happening, and at the same time, just having contractions throughout your day-to-day life is kind of like, it really takes it out of you. And I really was hoping that Monday was the day, this baby's coming. I was gonna meet him Tuesday morning. That's how I saw it. And here Tuesday comes and rolls around, and no baby yet. And it really is mentally exhausting. I feel like it was especially mentally exhausting. I also got some good sleep Tuesday through Wednesday. Actually, even better sleep because contractions died down even more. And come Wednesday, I had no contractions really at all, other than maybe me running after the cats that are usually a little naughty, or when we went out to do a quick shopping run for a few more things. I walked around, maybe got a little bit faster or something, and then just kind of had one. But definitely, we're talking like, I don't know, I probably had 5 throughout the day. And that was so frustrating. So frustrating because I really wanted things to start to pick up, and I thought I was meeting baby Monday, Tuesday, early Tuesday morning, and here we are at Wednesday and I'm having no contractions. So I was just mentally like exhausted with this uncertainty, and then these random contractions that were happening. And so Wednesday to Thursday, go to bed again. So I'm having some contractions throughout the night always, but I'm getting pretty good sleep. And then Thursday morning rolls around, and I definitely have a little bit more contractions throughout the day. So I was kind of excited and happy for that, that things were picking up, but nothing worth mentioning really. But the contractions that I did have throughout the day, the irregular ones, were becoming a little bit more intense for sure. So I was kind of having to, you know, breathe through them, but at the same time, I was really fighting that as well. So then I took a nap. I was just so exhausted, and when baby took a nap or toddler took a nap, I laid down as well, and I was actually out for probably 2 hours during that time. I had regular contractions. Who knows? Every 20 minutes. I don't know. I'm not looking at the clock. And, you know, they're pretty intense. And I definitely had a meltdown moment during that time because I was just mentally so exhausted by all of this, by the uncertainty, by having contractions and trying to do life normal while you're in pain. Then the contractions were definitely picking up that day, and the pain was pretty strong, and so strong to where I was like, I kind of wish I could be in the birth pool. And so that after my nap, things definitely started picking up big time. So once I woke up from my nap, these contractions started becoming more and more intense and closer together. And I'm really having to breathe through them. And I'm also really fighting them because I didn't want to make anybody uncomfortable, especially my toddler. And so that actually probably made things worse by fighting them. I was making the pain definitely way worse, and it was pretty bad, and I was just so ready to have some pain relief. And then at the same time, I was trying to do, you know, my everyday things because I didn't really think this was really happening at the same time. So once Patrick was home, I was at my end, and we talked to the midwife because I also have this urge for throwing up. And so I complained to her, and I'm like, with these kind of intense contractions and this close together, I was in the bathtub with Avonlea, and now I'm having to just kind of sit here. And she's like, just go in the bathtub and see how it feels, you know. I mean, first of all, it'll help with any kind of pain, but we can also see if it's the real deal, or if we need to kind of or if it's not. So we get the bathtub ready, and I go in there, and whoa, best pain relief ever in the world. And I'm breathing through these contractions, and my mom and toddler go to a friend's house to spend the night there, as I really felt like things were happening and was having a home birth, and that way, you know, I could just be completely relaxed, and toddler wouldn't have to be around during that time, because she is definitely a mommy's girl, and would want to be close by all the time. So after about an hour of Patrick timing them, things were becoming closer and closer together to where we were now at around 4 minutes apart. Called the midwife again and told her that things were coming closer together, and I already had kind of this feeling and this urge to push, which I was kind of fighting because it seemed way too early on in labor. So she's like, just go with your body, whatever, and I'm coming out. So at this point, I'm like, I need to get things going, or, you know, I kind of felt like things were happening. So I had Patrick fill up the birth pool with water, and I'm like, as soon as it is even close to being somewhat, full, or even halfway, quarter full, let me go in there because the bathtub is super, super small and I'm uncomfortable and I can't really move. And so as soon as I was able to step in there, oh my goodness, Birthpool in a box is so comfortable. Even the floor is inflated, and just having the space to move around into different positions was so nice. And so um, once I got in there, shortly after, the midwife came. So when I went into the bathtub, it was like 7 p.m. on Thursday night. And by the time I stepped into the birth pool, it was probably like 9:30, guessing. Um, so I have also stopped fighting these urges to kind of like press, push, bear down, um, and just to go with my body, which took the pain out of it like tremendously, to where it was often just a feeling of intense pressure rather than pain. And also, as soon as I was in the bathtub and I was like, I need to calm down, I need to focus, I started the Christian hypnobirthing app, and it's just like relaxing music and like Bible verses and affirmations, and just putting your focus on God, and just keeping your focus steady and calm. And what a difference that made in my mindset as well. I had been listening to those tracks all throughout pregnancy. And so, many times, funny enough, when I wanted to start to breathe wrong or whatever, right at that time would be, breathe calm, be steady. And just also the mindset with the Bible verses and the mindset and affirmations that were Bible based kept my own thoughts very prayerful. And I was just constantly in prayer throughout this birth. It was such a difference. And so I'm just moving however feels comfortable. I'm literally falling asleep to the point where I would have like dreams. I don't remember them, but just like that deep sleep in between contractions. Patrick fell asleep on our bed. The midwife would just kind of come in here and there, kind of just check up on me, ask if I needed anything, or just kind of keep me steady again if something, became more intense. But other than that, it was just me and the Lord, and just I had my eyes closed. It was so peaceful that even like my contractions, I became so quiet that Patrick said, I don't think, you haven't had a contraction in a long time. I'm like, yeah, I have. Quite a few in the last few minutes. But I was able to just become so calm and relaxed and work with my body rather than against my body. And what I'm still so amazed about is that not once did we check for dilation, not because I didn't want to. Actually, there were a few times where I was like, or in the beginning, I was like, I wonder how dilated I am. I know how ready I am. But in that moment when I was actually laboring, I was just doing whatever my body told me to do. And who cares what dilation I was at? I'm guessing now, looking back, I was probably right at transition, because I came to the point where I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. I just kind of looked at the clock, and it was a little bit after 12 o'clock. And I said, Lord, if he could just come within the next hour or so. I feel like, an hour is not too much to ask, but also not too little, kind of a thing. Maybe I should have said 30 minutes. But anyway, I prayed for it within the hour. And kept having I kept having this like downward pressure, and always like this sense of pushing throughout the entire time. And eventually my water ruptured. My water broke, and I was just like, yay! And I said in German to my midwife, my water broke. And Patrick's like, what's going on? I'm like, my water broke. Oh, how exciting. He's like, this is really happening. I'm like, you thought it wasn't happening before then? But anyway, so I was so excited. My water broke on its own this time. I'm just laboring in this birth pool, and yes, it's a ton of work. And yes, I was so uncomfortable at the time. But at the same time, it was so relaxing. And in a weird way, I wouldn't say it like, sleep through everything, but it was just a difference like day and night. And so then shortly after that, I'm already feeling this sense of pushing now for the head. And I go from sitting down to being on my knees, kind of leaning on to the birth pool in the front. And after a few pushes, I just had this feeling. I wanted to see, like, am I progressing or whatever? And I feel down there, and I feel ahead. Like, I didn't even have to go really far. And I'm like, oh, the baby's here. And the midwife is like, what? Where? I don't see anything. And I'm like, well, not here yet. But, like, I can feel that it's going to be here. Or, I can actually feel it. Little hair. And so I just got new energy. I knew this was happening, and this was happening now. And everything's just happening all on its own. And as things got closer to, him coming out, she was like, do you want to change positions? I'm like, no, I'm like frozen in this position. But then I was like, no, I had wanted to get into a squatty position. So to prevent tearing, and I had torn pretty bad last time. And so I'm like, yes, I do. So I went into my little squatty position and started bearing down. And then, mid contraction, mid contraction is like his head was like halfway out. I'm like, no, this is not happening. I was like half like annoyed, frustrated because it's uncomfortable, and also kind of laughing at the situation. But even with all of that, I had like minimal like tearing that was already healed, like I think in 2 days. Almost not worth mentioning. And anyway, so yeah, next push and head was out, and then I think like 1-2 other pushes and body was out. And she was like, grab him, and I'm like, whoop, up and put him on my chest. And there's a little seat in the birth pool in a box, and so I sat on there and just holding him on my chest. And I was just amazed at that I just had my dream birth. And that he was here, and I was like, finally he's here. And I'm like, we did a good job. And Patrick's just crying and crying as he did last time. I'm just always so excited that it's over, and just talking with him. And soon after that I came out, and he's still connected, and we delayed cord clamping, and Patrick got to cut the cord and then birth placenta and nurse him, and he did so well. And I think he was just like on me for probably the first 2 hours or so, till we then weighed and measured him. And then soon after that, after all of that was done, the midwife left, and we got a few more hours of sleep. I think I only slept like 2 hours after that, after I had my snack of a Nutella bread. And just having him laying, doing skin to skin for the rest of the night till like late morning, and how much that is just such a great way. Also a change, even though the hospital did do skin to skin for the first hour. But still, it was a different atmosphere, and amazing, and loved how calm and steady my midwife was, and just the atmosphere of a home birth. And definitely can recommend. And if we ever have more kids and the Lord blesses us that way, I definitely want a water home birth again. So Thank you for listening. And if you have any other questions from what I told or maybe mentioned and you're like, oh, I want to know more, just write me. And I am so willing to share more about my water birth, home birth experience. Bye.